My next guest was a fire breather for 5 years before an accident on stage led her to spending a month in intensive care in a burns unit. Well, 6 years on, Sophie Lee is sharing her story in a new book called In My Skin. Now, it's part of Katie Piper's The Unseen series that celebrates inspirational stories, and they both join me now. Morning, Katie.
Morning, Ranvir.
Morning, my love.
Sophie.
Hi,
Morning.
Sophie.
Hi.
Well, this is absolutely fantastic. Sophie, tell me how it is that you and Katie ended up meeting.
It's actually a bit of a funny story because I only just found this out the other day at the book launch that Katie had found me online. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But she initially slid in the DMs when
Yeah.
I was in hospital, and she
wow.
offered me words of support and just was so lovely to me. And that was what I needed in that moment, I think, someone who understood. But I'd also seen Katie's story, and she's been someone that has inspired me so much. So to now be able to be, you know, working alongside her is just amazing.
And Katie, what was it that... I mean, I know you... Anybody who follows you on Instagram will know that this is what you do. I mean, this is your life's purpose, isn't it? You provide enormous inspiration, motivation, kindness and financial support through your foundation too for all sorts of people who go through something like you did. What was it about Sophie that you saw online on Instagram that then thought, I've got to just get in touch with this girl?
Yeah, I mean, she inspired me. You know, I need people that are role models for myself. And I looked at her and thought, wow, she's been through a really life-changing trauma that a lot of people will never truly understand. And, you know, there's not a day when it's just suddenly stops and it's over. It's something she's living with forever. But there was a difference to her that I noticed on Instagram. She wasn't hiding it. She wasn't covering it up. She was showing the bad bits. She was showing the good bits. And as life continued for her, she was out there living unapologetically and bold within her presence. So I felt really attracted to her approach to life, and I wanted to meet her and talk to her. And we did a podcast together, and I came away from the podcast thinking there's so much more to this woman than a 45-minute podcast. And I talked to her about my imprint, The Unseen, which was this platform for people and stories that felt not listened to and felt discriminated against in society. And I said, would you be up for writing a book? Because it's not easy to write a book about something so painful. And she went away and she thought about it. And then what came out of this wasn't just a book about a young woman that had a burn injury. There's a whole other life before that injury where Sophie has faced other hardships and other difficulties. And for me, I couldn't put that. I read the book on the flight. She sent me the draft and I could not put the book down.
That's
it actually
brilliant.
changed my life reading it.
Oh, well, Sophie, let's just bring viewers up to date then. So you have always loved dancing, performing, and you became an extraordinary thing called a fire eater. You know, we've seen them when we go on holiday resorts, or you see, you know, this is you doing it. But one terrible day, I think you were in Chicago, you describe it in the book, you were breathing out.
And basically the air unit was left on.
The aircon.
Yeah, and it blew that back in my face and set me on fire.
So that a gulf, this fireball came towards your face.
And unfortunately, you know, what are you supposed to do in that moment? You go into survival mode and, you know, you're full of panic, but also you need to be reassuring of yourself to remain calm, to be in control of the situation. And I'm very lucky to be alive, you know? So I think everything that came after that is something that I had to take within my stride.
But there's been extreme pain, hasn't there? I mean, obviously, the initial instant was absolutely terrifying, but then it's taken a very, very long time, and you've had tumours and all sorts of things. And some of it is quite graphic. I mean, you put some pictures in the book, which, you know, it does take your breath away when you see it because you're not used to seeing that sort of level of injury.
Yes. So they turned, because it was a full thickness burn and the injury was so deep to the skin, it turned into a keloid tumour. Now, I found out there's no cure in the world for keloid tumours, so I became a case study in a new medical science called interlesional cryosurgery. Now, that's where they inject liquid nitrogen into the tumour and they freeze it, and essentially it falls off and new skin is formed.
And what you say in the book, I mean, there's so much in it. There's stuff about when you were in China as a child with your grandparents, how they inspired you.
Yes.
But also, Katie, I think you both talk about how in the industries that you both are in and have been in, it's been very much about beauty, about perfection, and actually how you've both managed and you continue to prove that you can be in the same industry and you're changing that narrative, actually, in lots of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sophie really represents that for me. And the funny thing is, sometimes, particularly as women, we're sort of socially conditioned to hide what society says are our imperfections. Well, if Sophie had been hiding her burn injury, I never would have noticed her and we never would have met. So it's actually a real life lesson that you get to decide what makes you less worthy. And, you know, I don't want to speak for Sophie, but I feel that me and her are on the same page, that we're not ashamed of our visible difference. And actually, it's a big part of who we are.
And do you find now, Sophie, how is life for you now then? And have you given up fire eating as a career? Yes. Okay, fine. No, you're not going back there then.
No.
What are you doing these? I mean, obviously you're a published author now, which is fantastic, motivational speaker.
So this journey has still been ongoing.
Yeah.
And being a case study, the research and development for this surgery has been ongoing for my life as well. I had steroid injections, they stopped working, so then I had to have chemo injections. Now, they had to be injected into the scar, and I still had those, like, the other week.
Did you?
Yeah, so the process is still ongoing, but I try my hardest to raise awareness. You know, meet so many other people who've gone through trauma, and I want them to feel empowered and inspired by their journeys. So, yeah, I really hope that I can help raise awareness.
Well, can I just say it's wonderful to be in the company of both of you this morning. In My Skin, from Katie's Unseen series is out now. Thank you to both of you.